So Ali Day's paper is quite simply one of my favourite academic texts to have come out last year. It was part of a special edition that I was editing about the sociocultural and historical relationships between HIV and COVID. It brings many of the theoretical points about collective approaches to care, and for me it brings them to life with an ethnographic sensibility. So we will be watching the film this week with Ali, and who will be zooming in for a group discussion. Hence this week there's only going to be one group seminar, so please just make sure you've looked at the timetable to understand where and when you're meant to be. Now, just to talk about Ali's text briefly, traditionally in healthcare there's been a very keen desire to separate out the worker from the patient. In some cases, these boundaries operate along lines of infection control, but other times there are what are kind of called rather vaguely professional boundaries, a concept that is assumed to be necessary, but is in fact highly important to reflect upon for the ethical qualities that it brings into the caring relationship for those who need and provide care. Now, of course, boundaries are important and can help prevent abuse. However, the breaching of a boundary can also be an act of solidarity and care, one that risks contamination, and through such a risk builds up these sort of deep bonds of coalition that Ali Day is so keen for us to understand and explore. And so there is an ethics to the boundaries that both HIV and COVID reveal to us. In doing so, what emerges is an argument about the necessity to care beyond boundaries. And so what emerges in Day's paper is a very similar critique to the Care Collective. And it's a very clear example of how so-called efficient and successful care becomes co-opted to run other services. However, when this is done in service to market logics, we can lose the very foundational ethics to what care can be, a coalition. Markets are, by their very nature, amoral institutions. They only care about the trade of goods and services. The invisible hand of the market, as characterised by Adam Smith, is also one that is blind to the ethical qualities of care. If we are to remain aware of that, we need to ensure that the boundaries that emerge between people are ones that are reflective, open to being porous, and also to forming coalitions.